Hello again, everybody. This is episode 54 of Below the 38, and it's a preview show. K-League 1 and K-League 2 wrapped up together. I'm Andrew, and it's Luke down the other line. Hi, Luke.
Hello, how are you doing?
Good. There's unconfirmed reports that Mike is back in the country after requesting a transfer to move elsewhere, but he is unavailable for this show. We're recording this on a Wednesday night. FA Cup was on today. The big news is that the defending champions, Luke, have been dumped out on penalty kicks. Did that give you a nice smile?
Not at all. I've got nothing against John Buck, honest. Like, this is just coincidental. It's fine. No, going out at the first time of asking is kind of a thing that all the best teams do, asking Sean. But yeah, it was nice. Penalty shootout as well. It was 5-4 on penalties to Dangjin after they'd taken John Buck to extra time. It was 2-2 in normal time, and then Dangjin won on penalties. Now, remember, if you would like to follow us, we are at Below the 38 on Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Our website is belowthe38korea.com. You can find news, reviews, stadium guides, and lots of other stuff going up there every single week. Please like, share, and subscribe. It really helps us out.
We are going to keep doing these kind of K1, K2 ones for now. We will lead with K-League 1 for the time being. But unless a title race restarts, we might just have to start these shows in the future as the season draws to a conclusion with K-League 2. If K-League 2 continues to have a 5 or 6 way tie at the top like it currently does, it's wonderfully unpredictable. But for now, we are going to stick with K-League 1 as our lead-off league on the Below the 38 preview shows. So, Luke, there are 6 matches this coming weekend as ever. 3 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday. Everything still starts at 7:30 till the end of this month because it's still very, very hot outside. Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, I'll let you. You go.
All right. I'll go for my 2 most localish teams, I think. Certainly one of them is anyway. It's the meeting of Anyang in 7th and FC Seoul in 1st at the Anyang Stadium. It feels a little bit like deja vu for Anyang because it was this time last season. Their form over the summer was really, really poor, and they saved their season basically by winning against FC Seoul 2-1, and that kick-started like a really good run of form, and they comfortably stayed in K-League 1. They've lost 3 in a row, so they're not quite in the same situation as they were this time last year, but they're badly in need of a win. They're not going to go down, as we know, because only one team is going to go down automatically. That's Gimcheon, and they're not going to finish 12th because Gwangju have that wrapped up. But it is, I guess, telling as well that during that turnaround last year against Seoul in Sangam, their 2 goal scorers that day were Thomas Wade-Kote, who's now at Ulsan HD, and Bruno Mata, who's now at Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. And those players just haven't been replaced. That's just the nature of being a city-run club in Korea. For Seoul, a huge win at the weekend, 4-2 over Daejeon. It pushed them 10 points clear, and with results going their way on Sunday, they stayed 10 points clear. I guess you could say that until they've won K-League 1 this year, the final piece in that particular jigsaw for them is their first win at their former home. They haven't beaten Anyang away since Anyang joined K-League 1. In fact, the head-to-head is extremely similar. They've won 1 game each. Anyang and Seoul both have won against the other team in Seoul. No team has managed to win a game in the Anyang Stadium yet. Anyang's home form is a cause for concern, which will obviously please Kim Gi-dong and his FC Seoul players. Just 2 wins from 13, but they did win in the FA Cup today against a K-League 1 side. So remains to be seen. This ticket sales are extremely strong already. They only went on sale today and Wednesday. You expect a sellout at that game. Will it be enough for Anyang to momentarily derail Seoul's championship run? I don't think so. I get the feeling Seoul are going to record their first ever win since they left the stadium. 2 or 3-1 is my guess.
And speaking of teams who are doing very well in the league, Jeju welcomed Gimcheon to the island this weekend. Jeju are on fire based on their league form, although they did lose in the cup tonight to Anyang. But they haven't beaten Gimcheon this year. Both meetings between Gimcheon and Jeju finished in 1-1 draws. Gimcheon are the league's draw specialists. Some may say they are the Cheongju of K-League 1. Now, Jeju have no loss in 8 games dating back to May, just before the World Cup break against Anyang, and they have 3 wins in 5, and that includes wins over Anyang in the league and Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors. That being said, Gimcheon have been in better form in recent weeks. They got a draw against Seoul, they got a draw against Incheon, and they beat Pohang. The only thing of note else is that July last year was the last time that Gimcheon won in this fixture, whereas it was September 2024 for Jeju.
Yeah, looking forward to that one. I think it's just looking forward to that one just because of Jeju's incredible run so far this season, and they might end up going into 4th outright because we have a Hyundai Derby, which is the final match on Saturday. I think at one point we thought you were doing the preview for this. I think you were rubbing your hands with glee at the prospect of getting Jeonbuk in the preview after their cup demise today. They were defending League and Cup double champions from last season under Gus Poyet. At the earliest opportunity, they've dropped their cup defense to K3 side Dangjin Citizen, and their K-League 1 defense is in tatters as well after 2 straight losses, and the fans are not happy. You've probably seen the videos already. We've talked about this in the last couple of shows, but they are absolutely furious. They've actually lost more matches this season than Gimcheon, who are at the bottom of the table. And it just means that with Ulsan coming to town, Ulsan had won 3 in a row, and then they lost 3-2 at home to Gangwon at the weekend. It's been a decade-long stranglehold of the 2 Hyundai sides over K-League 1. It looks over. It's not confirmed, but it looks over. And I think now the battle for Jeonbuk and Ulsan is basically who finishes second. I think that's all they can hope for now. Jeonbuk and Ulsan are both out of the Korea Cup as well. I just thought this was quite interesting that both sides had 44 wins in their head-to-head. All the years have been against each other before the season, but Jeonbuk have beaten Ulsan twice already this season. So to win this weekend and make it a clean sweep over Ulsan, it's not going to move the dial too much on what has been a pretty bad last few weeks for Jeonbuk. But second is better than 4th, and obviously they just don't want to be slipping behind Jeju in the table. So that is Jeonbuk versus Ulsan. I'd say when the fixture list was announced in January, we were looking at that as a potential title decider, and now we're looking at that as a potential second place decider.
Yeah, and I think it's one of those where we've said that a run of form can change the table, can change positions, but I don't think it particularly matters for either Ulsan or Jeonbuk. If they're not top of the league or challenging for first, then I don't think their fans are going to be happy regardless. And the way Seoul are playing, the way Seoul's lead is now, it looks like there's going to be a lot of discontented Jeonbuk and Ulsan fans from here on out. Our last Saturday game is Pohang versus Bucheon. Pohang are 6th in the league. They finally got a win at the weekend, beating Gwangju 3-1. And Bucheon, who are in 9th, they got a very good win over Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors last weekend. Now, this game is being played in Bucheon because Pohang Stadium has been closed indefinitely. Again, we don't know how long that's going to be for. Bucheon have 1 defeat in 5, so they've got some very good form going into this game, whereas Pohang have got 1 win in 5. So unlikely favourites Bucheon going into this game. Bucheon won the previous meeting between these two teams in Bucheon 2-0, and earlier in the season there was a 0-0 draw in the Steelyard. So if Bucheon can avoid defeat, they will have gone a whole season so far without dropping to a loss to Pohang. Very good so far for Bucheon, not great at the minute for Pohang.
Yeah, and Bucheon are also unbeaten against Jeonbuk this season, as you were saying. So as we marveled on the Monday night podcast, I was at Bucheon's win against Pohang earlier on the season. That was their first home win of the season, their 99th win at home ever in K-League 1 or K-League 2. They made it the 100 mark against Jeonbuk earlier on. So yeah, great for Bucheon. As things currently stand, this is how live, well, you won't be listening to this live, but this is how current our show is. Bucheon are being taken almost to penalties by Busan in the cup. Pohang did win today against K4 Jinju Citizen what impact this has in the game. There will be some players will be involved in the midweek games, will be involved in the weekend games, but not a huge amount. So there will definitely be some chopping and changing of the sides. Both teams will have had to travel a long way to go back to Busan for Saturday night's game. On to Sunday then, and speaking of sides in the Korea Cup, both of these two sides were playing today. Daejeon beat Cheongnam Asan 3-2 away, and Gangwon, again as we record this, are actually on the verge of a penalty shootout against Songnam. Maybe at the end of the show we'll actually have the full results in. Gangwon have kind of turned the season around a little bit after an unbelievable year. They picked up 1 point from a possible 9, a couple of bad defeats. That saw them drop out of the championship race. Very slim chance that they're going to go on and win K-League 1, but that chance is now over. However, they are third, and if results go their way this weekend, i.e. Jeonbuk versus Ulsan, then Gangwon could be up to second, and if they can finish in second, it would just be an absolutely extraordinary season for Gangwon. Daejeon are another side that has begun to just turn the corner, it seems a little bit. They did lose to Seoul at the weekend. They were 2-1 up after 81 minutes and then managed to concede 3 goals after then to lose 4-2. But there's no shame in losing to FC Seoul. At the moment, Daejeon are still 10th, but they're only a few points out of Final A. It's not over for them in terms of a top place finish. Gangwon, you presume, will absolutely finish in the top half of the table. And Gangwon's recent record over Daejeon is extremely strong. They've only been beaten once in their last 10 matches against Daejeon. Historically, Daejeon have the upper hand in this particular fixture, which means obviously they were really strong for a while. Not so much anymore. There's 9 points between these two sides in Gangwon's favour, and they have beaten Daejeon 2-0 on 2 different occasions this season. So if they can make it a hat-trick, like a few of these other games we've remarked on today, then their fans will be absolutely delighted. So that's Daejeon 10th versus Gangwon 3rd on Sunday.
Okay, and our final Sunday game is one where I'm hoping history does not repeat. It is Gwangju, who are bottom of the table, against Incheon, who are presently in 8th. Gwangju still have only one win, home or away. Only one win all season, and that was against Incheon 3-2 in the second round of the season. In that game, Mugosa missed a last-minute penalty. Gwangju got their win. And that's been it for them ever since. Incheon have been in decent form. They've got 2 wins and 3 draws in the last 5. But the last 3 games have been those draws. So there's no win in 3. They really do need to start winning if they want to push for Final A. For Gwangju, they've lost 3 of their last 4 games. They're bottom. They're 14 points behind. And it doesn't look like they're going to have the ability to catch up. Although a win this weekend, and you never know, they might start getting some points on the board. Incheon are 4 points behind Jeju in 5th. So although they're in 8th position, it's not all doom and gloom. They're 1 point behind Pohang in 6th as well. And the way Pohang have been playing, you would hope that Incheon might be able to catch them in the coming weeks. This game, as I say, Incheon lost the first meeting between the 2 teams. And they won the second meeting, which was at the Incheon Stadium 4-0, and that was just before the World Cup break. And that, for Incheon, has probably been the highlight of the season. It was their biggest win. This weekend, let's see what happens. Could it be Gwangju's second win? Could it be an Incheon win? Or could it just be a 0-0 draw? We'll see.
Yeah, that was during that spell where Gwangju were just getting pummeled. Remember that? Like, by absolutely everybody. What was that? They scored like 3 and conceded 27 or something.
Something like that. I know they lost 5-2, 5-1, 5-0, I think. Yeah. And it was a case, honestly, we were taking bets on the score, and when they came to Incheon, it was like, we'd be happy with 4, but ideally we need to score more because of how the league's calculating things. But yeah, we'll see. I mean, hopefully Incheon please don't lose. Please don't lose.
Well, he did his disservice there to Cheonnan City FC and Ulsan Citizen. They are the other 2 sides. I know it's not in the league, but Incheon are a part of that illustrious group of clubs, including, as I said, Ulsan Citizen and Cheonnan City FC, as the only 3 sides that have been beaten by Gwangju so far this season. You said, like, it reminded me as well, Magosa's last minute penalty. I know, like, there's no guarantee the season would have just panned out the way it has. Maybe the team talks are different if they throw that game away, etc., etc. But if the results just happen to work out exactly as they've done since then, can you imagine if they stood at this particular point of the season after 23 matches without a league win? It would have been
That'd be grim, wouldn't it? Although you've got to think that if they hadn't have beaten Incheon, there would have been somebody that surely they would have picked up a win somewhere else. I mean, just on the balance of probabilities. I mean, we're what 23 games in. There's, I don't know.
Yeah, there would have been a chance. I mean, they threw it away. Or they certainly threw a point away against Pohang at the weekend, and they were within a shot of winning that game until Wanderson's late breakaway. That's K-League 1 done for this week. Another big week at the top. Not so much a big week at the bottom because Gwangju are 14 points adrift, and they could just not win any more games for the rest of the season. They don't even have to pick up any draws between now and the end of the season. They're not going to go down automatically. At least they'll have the buffer of a relegation promotion decider to a two-legged, and the second leg will be at home. Whatever advantage that gives them, that stadium, if there's, who knows, but at least it will be at home.
Do you reckon they'll have more than 2,000 people there for the playoff second leg? Will anybody actually turn up? I mean, it's going to be a cold night in December.
Yeah. I guess it depends who they're playing against. Like if they draw the Blue Wings, for example, it might help some Suwon FC. I mean, I think you're looking at away fans, certainly because obviously some of those away teams, like Daegu, will bring numbers down to Gwangju, and the likes of Seoul Leland, who have never been in K-League 1 before, they might bring big numbers too because it's an epic opportunity to go up. But yeah,
it'd be a Saturday game as well, wouldn't it? The first playoff will be midweek, and then the second one will be a Saturday.
Yeah, it's a Saturday or Sunday because I think the Jeju Suwon game was on a Sunday last year because I was at the cup final on the Saturday, and then they made us play the second leg on a Sunday. I had to come straight back to the airport to get to work then on Monday morning. Not ideal. These games should be on a Saturday. Anyway, that's and it was 19 degrees in Jeju, so I can't complain.
Lovely. Let's have more playoffs in Jeju.
It doesn't matter if they lose 2-0 and Gwangju is responsible as long as we're in Jeju and the game ends and it's 19 degrees. That's fine. So that's K-League 1, and now K-League 2 also round 23, but as Mike always likes to say, no team has played the requisite number of matches for this to be round 23. But of course, every week every week one team has a week off, and it's Gimpo this season, and Gimpo are probably badly in need of some time off. They did beat Gimcheon Sangmu of K-League 1 in the FA Cup tonight, but their home form, their form, and especially their home form, is not great. They do return to action a week from Saturday against the Suwon Blue Wings, but for now they can put their feet up after, from what I've heard, was a well-deserved 2-1 win over Gimcheon Sangmu today. So it's the usual issue, Luke, with K-League 2. There's one game that directly affects the championship. There's a lot of games that, as in like two teams in one game, it's a proper championship match off. I don't even say like a fixture between two sides who are hoping to win the league, and then there's a lot of games between a team that's hoping to win the league or advancing to the playoffs against a team that has nothing to play for, and then there's always a couple of games down towards the bottom of this list where both teams have nothing to play for. So there's an even split of 4 games on Saturday, 4 games on Sunday. The biggest game in terms of the impact this could have on the K-League 2 Championship is at 7:30 on Saturday, and it's Daegu against Busan. Daegu have hit some form, 2 wins in a row. Busan have snapped a 4-game losing streak, albeit just with a draw against Hwasong. And at the same time on Saturday, Ansan Songnam, nothing riding on that one. Cheonan Blue Wings need to win to stay top and ideally score a couple of goals. And Suwon FC against the bottom placed Gimhae. Suwon FC are not shy of scoring goals, unlike their city rivals. There's a really good chance there for Suwon FC to pile on a few and just make that mountain a little bit higher for the Blue Wings to catch. In terms of those Saturday fixtures, is the obvious one, Daegu Busan is the standout?
Yeah, I think so. Although it will be interesting, as you say, to see how Suwon do. The last time they played a team at the bottom, it was Jeonnam, and they won 5-0. If Suwon FC can pick up a few more goals against Gimhae, it'll put them even further ahead in the goals scored table. But yeah, Busan Daegu is going to be an incredible game, I think, because if Busan lose again, I think they're going to end up dropping out of the playoffs. And we've mentioned it, like they've dropped out of automatic contention, I think, at this stage, and they're on the verge of being out of the playoffs if they carry on with their current form, which is a shame because they started so well and they were so far ahead, and it's not been a gradual decline, it's just been a complete drop-off. I don't know, 4 games, 5 games where they've just not turned up. Yeah. Now, Sunday's fixtures are less interesting, unfortunately. We have, Asan versus Yongin. We have Cheongju versus Gyeongnam. That'll be a draw. We have Jeonnam versus Hwasong. Hwasong should win, although it's a long way down to Jeonnam. And then we've got Eland versus Paju. Does that count as a derby? Can we make that interesting? Is that a derby?
I think if Mukdong was north of the border, maybe we could have. But it's one of the very few fixtures for Paju. I mean, it's only one of two really that's not like an hour away. I don't know how long it takes to get from Paju to Mukdong. It's still pretty far actually. The only fixture they have that's not a brutal journey is Gimpo away. So yeah, Soliland against Paju. Yeah, I mean
they should win that comfortably.
Yeah. And this is the situation that the Blue Wings face then as well. Is that I'd expect Soliland to win this, and they already have a really good goal scored record, so they're just going to tot that up. I would have thought Asan against Yongin is only just slightly interesting because Asan are not completely out of the playoff picture. They're obviously not going to go up automatically. Is it worth discussing? It probably isn't. Then Cheongju Gyeongnam is a bit like some of those other games that it's just okay, mention the game and move on. I said it's probably going to end the draw. It's not going to have any relevance on the rest of the season. Hwasong, I think.
Is it a potential banana skin? Do you reckon?
I'd say it is, but it's also I don't have the data to back this up, obviously, but I think there's just a little bit of a sense that since that Suwon game at home, that the limitations in their squad are just being exposed a bit now, and they are struggling to win games like they were winning them before. If they can finish in the top 6, I mean, it's an improvement on last season, and any higher than that, I think it'd be great. I think we do like to talk about K-League 2 as being a 6-way battle for the championship, but I think in reality it's probably a 4-way battle for the championship. 2 Suwon clubs, Soliland and Daegu. It's still pretty healthy. It's nice to have 4 out of 17 who are competing for it. But for Hwasong, if they want us to, and I know they do, and Chowdhury was messaging me the other day hoping that we continue talking about his team on the podcast. If they want that, they obviously have to go in and Jeonnam, who are awful this season. There's no other way around it. You have to go and win in Gwanyang, and if they do, then yeah, we'll talk about them on next week's show as well, because they'll still be there. Just on the Daegu thing as well, Cecinia's back. Apparently he was magnificent at the weekend against, I forget who they played. I know Serafin scored a brace that day, but apparently he was just superb, and now he's back. It looks like he's fit. He's obviously, he's had a rest, and now with his age as well, if you can get him near his best at this point of the season, that will put them firmly in the frame for championship outright.
It's potentially like a new signing almost for how much he's like missed already this season, and him coming in, he's going to raise morale. He's going to get the crowd behind them, and I mean he is the equivalent of Magosa is for Incheon. It's like he's been there for so long that he is Mr. Daegu at this point, and he will be taking it personally that they've got relegated, and he will be doing everything he can to make sure they go up. And when first and second both go up automatically, then you've got to bet that if they can't win the title, second place is absolutely in their sights. And I think that spells trouble for Blue Wings. Him being back spells trouble for Blue Wings because Eland are on a tear, Daegu are burning it up, and Suwon FC are also pushing. Yeah, we've talked about it. Blue Wings' inability to score goals is going to come back and bite them.
Well, they are linked today. I don't know if, we can mention it because it's obviously not libelous, but they have been linked with. It's always surprising that I've already perfect timing. I've just forgotten his name. The Gimpo winger / striker, Ruiz is linked with a move to the Blue Wings today. He is a potential 15 to 20 goal a season player. If he does arrive, he'd be arriving mid-season. Kim Ji-chan is back from army service. I think it's on the 6th of October, so they're both obviously attacking players, goal scorers as well, so that will presumably help, but the gap is too big. The gap is already too big. That's why I was saying on Monday that they can't afford to settle for draws anymore, because draws will see them finish level on points with other teams and then see them finish below those teams. Isn't it just because obviously we have a situation now where it's highly likely that one of Suwon, Daegu, and Soliland will not be in K-League 1 next season. And from a K-League 1 point of view, I guess who cares? especially if it's one of the teams that hasn't been up there in a while, or one of the smaller teams. But the effort that could be required to stay with the chasing pack, to go the distance in K League 2, and not to get promoted and have to do all this again next year. Like, the thought about that for whoever misses out is, I think it's going to be crushing. It's going to be absolutely brutal.
Yeah, and if you look at the teams who were there or thereabouts last year, Songnam had a decent run. Look at them now. Jeonnam were challenging, and look at them now. If you lose all of your players, if you don't go up, you lose your players, and then the next season, not only is it harder, but you're having to rebuild again. I mean, it must be really, really rough. I mean, the toll that it will take on you mentally as well. And also, next year, we don't know what the promotion situation is with K-League 2, because we know that there are 3 or 4 teams going up from K-League 2 to K-League 1 this year, because there's the expansion so that there are 14 teams in K-League 1 next year. But it's not been announced, and it probably won't be announced until towards the end of the year, how many promotion places there will be to play for next year from K-League 2. So we're in a situation where next year we might be back to 1 up and 1 playoff, or 1 up and 2 playoffs. In which case, for the teams who are left behind this year, next year is going to be much, much more difficult. So who knows? Who knows if there's less to play for next year, if there are fewer promotion places, it's going to be a struggle for whoever doesn't make it this year, which is more impetus for you to go for the win this year, score some goals, and get back up. Okay, so...
Sorry. Score some goals? Whatever feeling is that? I wouldn't know anything about that. But yes, you're absolutely right. It'd be nice. It'd be nice to go to... You saw 4-0 this season. It'd be nice to see a 4-0. Anyway, where are you going this weekend? Anywhere?
I'm not going anywhere this weekend. We're away in Gwangju, and I've already spent all of my pocket money on tickets to book the train down to Ulsan in a couple of weeks. So I've decided...
That's not the reason.
I mean, to be fair, the last time I went to a Gwangju away game, we lost 5-0. And the way things are going for me, it would end up giving Gwangju their second win of the season. I don't want to be responsible for that.
I think that's the main reason. It has to be. Imagine being there. Imagine going all the way down to Gwangju behind the running track and then seeing the team losing. Oh,
it was even worse. The game we lost 5-0. Like, the away end was pretty full. They had to extend. They got a security cordon and they had to move that because we were packed in so tight in that training ground of a stadium that they played in. There wasn't enough room for the away fans. There was only one set of stairs to get up and down out of the away end, and it was too full, and it didn't feel safe at all. And then we lost 5-0, and it cost me 130,000 won in train tickets. So,
yeah, that stadium's obviously in the shadows of the World Cup stadium, actually, where the away fans... It's the opposite side to where the away fans are now in Gwangju. I was there as well. It wasn't ideal. Like, it was like a Lego box stadium, and then obviously once it became structurally unsafe, then that was it. It was over. And as appalling as the World Cup stadium is, unfortunately for them, they've no other option unless they build a stadium, and they're not going to. I mean, they're just not going to build a stadium. They probably invested so much money in the new ballpark. They have a World Cup stadium. I'd imagine the City Hall is thinking, we don't need anything else. So yeah, I'd be surprised if that situation changes for them anytime soon. It's a pity. Gwangju's the first town I ever lived in. I know you've been there many times yourself. You were in Korea, not born in Korean sense, not too far away. I think you were in Mokpo, weren't you?
I was in Mokpo. So my first K-League game was Songnam in their previous guise as the unicorn badged team against against Gwangju when Gwangju were the Sangmu team, and I think there were about 500 people there. It was literally 6 away fans and the families of the players. Plus a group of foreigners doing their epic orientation in the rain. It was.
What year was that?
2010. It was April 2010.
That was the first year I went there was 2010 as well, and I think it was against Daegu. I have a feeling the first game I ever went there was against Daegu. because these don't appear on Footballogy, I've never been able. You have to consider manually add them, but I just couldn't be bothered. But the Jeju game I remember because the TV wasn't working. This was 8 years after the World Cup, and the TV wasn't working. We turned up a little bit late, and obviously nobody had a cell phone back then, so we didn't have any internet covered. So no goals were scored after the 15 minute onwards when we showed up. So we didn't know had anybody won or lost the game, but you can always try to kind of guess by the muted celebrations from both players that nothing had happened. But yeah, there was no TV, nothing was working. I'm absolutely sure it was against Jeju United, as they were called at the time. That was also, yes, the Gwangju Sangwoo team. They were grim days. And it might be bad now, but at least it's Gwangju FC and they're playing in yellowy orange colour and, they're able to sign foreign players. I imagine the situation's much better now.
It wasn't the best introduction to K-League football, I'll be honest.
No. And we survived, and 16 years later, hosting a podcast about it. Still talking about Gwangju. I won't talk about the game, but I'll be at the Anyang-Seoul game. The last time these two sides met, I was in the neutral zone, which is next to the away fans. It wasn't the neutral zone then, it was just part of the home fan section. And now that it's the neutral zone, I found it really interesting that those tickets were snapped up immediately. That means that FC Seoul fans have bought all those seats. Yeah. So obviously the Seoul section sold out, and now the neutral zone section was sold out. This was instantly after tickets went on sale. So I'd imagine the Seoul fans would have pretty much that entire section behind the goal. But I thought the animosity was very clear between the two set of fans. I mean, it didn't spill over into anything. There was a lot of middle fingers and W. The finger thing you can do with that, all this kind of stuff. But they obviously just don't like each other. They clearly don't like each other, and it's good as long as it doesn't spill over to anything else. I think this is good. It's good for the league. And Anyang's biggest home crowd of the season was against Seoul. Seoul's biggest home crowd of the season was against Anyang. That's also the biggest crowd of the season altogether. I think it is developing into a proper K-League rivalry now. Those two sides playing against each other, and if Seoul win the championship and Anyang have a good season the next season, it will just a little bit more fire will be added to that derby. I'd say Anyang will be dying to get Seoul back to their stadium next season if they're the champions. And if the Blue Wings go up too, then that kind of corridor between Seoul and Suwon with Anyang will become a nice area for kind of rivalries, and you can stretch that out. Obviously, like Incheon's not that far away. We are struggling to get K-League 1 sides from Seoul and Gyeonggi-do into the top division these days, so it's good that Incheon went back up. It's good that Anyang stayed there, and if FC Seoul have a target on their head as of next season for those localish Seoul Gyeonggi-do derby games, to make it a lot of fun. So I can't wait for it. I mean, the tickets were almost sold out. There's about 2,000 left. A few hours ago, they only went on sale today, so that will sell out. It'll be a big crowd, and as I said earlier on, this could be the last stepping stone that Seoul needs to win the championship, is just to win in this particular stadium. So I'll be at that game. It's probably the best game of the weekend anyway. There's a lot of other good games in K-League 1 and K-League 2. It's probably the most intriguing game. There's probably better games of football anyway. I'd say that Daegu Busan game could be a lot of fun as well.
It's interesting. Can I ask a quick question? The neutral zone, I've seen it I think there are different rules in different stadiums. The neutral zone, you're not allowed to wear the away team uniform, right? You're allowed to wear... Can you? I read there are some stadiums where you're allowed to wear a third team's uniform, but they don't really want the away end spilling over into the neutral zone. So the rules that I've read in different places, and I think again it's different per stadium. The neutral zone is no flags or cheering apparatus for the away team, but third-party jerseys are okay. So I was just wondering what Anyang are going to do when all of these Seoul people turn up in Seoul uniforms for the neutral zone.
So I went to I've only been to the neutral zone once since they declared the neutral zone, and that's when they played Gwangju in the summer. And there were Anyang fans. Now there was probably 100 people at most in that entire section. Probably I'd say 50 people at most. There were a couple of Anyang fans. There were people in Daejeon Hana Citizen uniforms, Jeonbuk Hyundai Motors uniforms, and Gwangju. And I thought it was interesting that there were people wearing Gwangju jerseys, because obviously the away fan section was nowhere near sold out. And then when I went to see Daegu against Suwon FC in the summer, again we went to the neutral fan section behind the goal. the Suwon FC fan section was not sold out, but there were Suwon FC fans sitting amongst Daegu fans in the neutral fan section. And then I just kind of zoomed in with my camera at the Suwon Derby at the weekend. The neutral zone section was almost entirely Suwon Blue Wings, but there were some jerseys of other clubs, but there were also some Suwon FC jerseys in amongst that crowd. So they're the only 3 examples I've seen so far that I can think of matches that I went to. Because I know, like, I guess if you were in Anyang, because you've been there as an away fan before. Now that the neutral zone section is there, why would you go to the away fan section? Because you've no access to a shop, but the neutral zone section does have access to shops and bars and places to get food and drink. So I think if you're going to that stadium again, I know they're Incheon are playing there next midweek, you won't be able to visit that one, but if the situation arises again for a stadium like this, and probably Seoul Elands as well, where there's no facilities available for away fans, you're better off just going to the neutral fan section.
Interesting. Well, we'll see how that plays out at the weekend. Hopefully there's no bother, as they say.
No bother. A lot of chanting and giving out and a little bit of swearing and stuff won't cause anybody too much harm. Just one more thing, like my computer's a bit slow. I guess it doesn't matter. We can post the results of the Korea Cup onto Below the 38 Instagram later on. The next round is the quarterfinal, and that won't take place until May. I don't think I've ever encountered a national cup competition before that shoves so many rounds in from June to August, or whatever the short period of time that is, and then has a 9-month gap until the last 8, and then we go on to kind of rush to finish the thing after that. So I was wondering if you agree. My thing is that they're doing this to start the Korea Cup next year in August and have it run from August to May. Like, obviously there's a lot of discussion about doing this with K-League 1 and K-League 2 as well. Is that your understanding of the situation, that they won't have like a year-long Korea Cup next year, but they're stretching it out as much as they possibly can so they can just start this in August and finish it in May?
I mean, the thing is, if they were stretching it out, I think it would have been like games more frequently, but it's kind of like starting now and finishing over here. And then there's nothing in the middle. Yeah, I'm not sure. I do think that this winter we're going to end up with some news about something regarding a fall to spring season, because that's been rumoured and the Korean Players Association has been talking about it. So I think it's only a matter of time till that comes, so maybe they're testing the water with the Cup. Speaking of the Cup, I have 2 late results. Bucheon 1995 won 5-3 on penalties against Busan. So Busan are out, Bucheon are through, they won 5-3. And Gangwon won 4-3 on penalties against Songnam. So Gangwon and Bucheon, the 2 K-League 1 teams, have progressed.
Wow, 90 minutes, no, 120 minutes, 0-0 on a Wednesday night.
In the rain.
It's coming up to, in the rain. It was piddling down. I saw in Gwanyang where Pohang won 3-1 against Jinju Citizen. Didn't look great, yeah. I imagine the combined attendance for all those matches is probably quite low. Ulsan Citizen, unfortunately, their dream has come to an end. They were beaten by Gwangju today. But yes, that's it. Bucheon, the 2 K-League 1 sides have advanced to the next round, both in penalty kicks, both after going 120 minutes without scoring against K-League 2 opposition. Last point in that FA Cup thing, though, this is the part I can't get my head around, though. If you want a September to May or August, probably September to May season from now on, isn't it so strange then that there are no cup matches between September and May? It's like that's what you want to do, and then you're presented with an opportunity to have it this way, and that run of months, those 9 months basically, have absolutely no Korea Cup football. It's very interesting, and by the time the next round, we're going to forget the Daegu Citizen have made the last 8. We're going to be forgotten. It's all going to be completely forgotten about. These teams will have new managers, new players. Had Gimcheon Sangmu won today, they would have had a new club playing in the last 8. It's just an absolute and utter mess. But this is the Korea Cup. We will see you for the Korea Cup action next May, and hopefully Dangjin even still exists at that point. Who knows what's going to happen between now and then for a K3 side.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, it's such a long break, and given Korean football clubs' tendency to disappear off the planet, then who knows? But I guess we'll find out. Come back and ask us in May, and we'll let you know. So from me and Andrew, thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully Mike will be back with us on the next edition. Ground guides, round previews, assessment, opinion, all on our website, belowthe38thcareer.com. Everything else, social media at Below the 38th. Have a lovely weekend. Enjoy the football wherever you go. We'll see you again soon.
Bye-bye.